I hope you've got a whole drawer full of clean underpants, dear viewers, because you're going to need them should you choose to play any of the games on this list. Ha ha ha! Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Obsessive Compulsive Gaming. I am the Obsessive Compulsive Gamer, and this is my pick of the most terrifying games you can play on PlayStation 5 right now. I do love me a horror game, be it Resident Evil, Silent Hill, but for the purposes of this video I have chosen to focus on the more indie horror games out there. And don't let that put you off, dear viewers. I happen to think that the indie horror video game scene has some of the scariest video games out there. So let's talk about some of them, shall we? Starting with Murder House. Now this game originally released all the way back in 2020, courtesy of those talented bastards at Puppet Combo, and in fact their games are so frightening I could have probably put any of their games on this list, be it Murder House, Christmas Massacre, Nun Massacre, Night Watch. But for me, Murder House is the scariest of the bunch. The basic concept sees a news crew breaking into the old abandoned home of an executed serial killer, Anthony Smith, also known as the Easter Ripper. But little do they know that the notorious Easter Ripper is actually waiting inside the house, ready to wipe them out one by one. Let me tell you, dear viewers, there's nothing more terrifying than seeing a grown adult dressed in a bloody bunny costume. And boy oh boy is this thing frightening. There's a particularly eerie prologue set inside a shopping centre. But for the majority of the game, you'll be in this decrepit house, doing the usual survival horror shenanigans, exploring, looking for items, and of course, when he chooses to make his appearance in terrifying fashion, trying to stay the hell away from that maniac in the bunny costume. The fact that the whole thing looks like a goddamn snuff movie recorded on a VHS just makes it all the more terrifying. So if you're looking to try out any of Puppet Combo's games, you cannot go wrong with Murder House. You'll never look at a bunny the same way again. Next up, we have Outlast 2. And yes, I know a lot of people would probably say the original Outlast is far scarier and better than this one. But for me, this 2017 first-person psychological survival horror game gives me the absolute willies. And not the good kind of willies, the bad kind of willies. We play as cameraman Blake Langerman, who works with his journalist wife Lynn to investigate the murder of a pregnant woman in the Sonoran Desert. In a nutsack, they get separated and Blake has to find Lynn while traveling through a village inhabited by a deranged cult that believes the Judgment Day is upon them. Now, of course, I don't have to tell you, dear viewers, that first-person horror video games in particular are very scary. So not only are you going to be navigating all kinds of horrible locations with nothing but a bloody video camera to light your way, you're also going to have to play through flashbacks, which take place in a school. And I won't spoil anything, but there's a particular entity you encounter in this school that's responsible for a lot of this game's jump scares. And boy oh boy are the jump scares terrifying. I played through this game several times now, and just when I think I know when all the scary shit starts to happen, nope. Turns out I misremembered and, oh Jesus Christ, now I have to go and change my underpants. This game isn't just scary, it's also incredibly disturbing, as a lot of these stories that focus on religion or cults or pregnant women tend to be. If you imagine movies like The Hills Have Eyes, Race with the Devil, or The Blair Witch Project, then you'll kind of get a gist of what this game is like. Damn scary stuff. Let's quickly move on to Alien Isolation. And yes, I debated whether or not I should put this on the list, being that I said I wanted to focus on indie horror games, but I kind of see this as an indie horror game in a lot of ways. We play in that first-person perspective. There isn't really a combat system to speak of. Not to mention, the bloody thing is absolutely terrifying. This game released all the way back in 2014, and I'm still seeing people make videos on this game to this very day. So if that's not a testament to how bloody unsettling this game is, then I don't know what is. Just in case you aren't exactly familiar with what this game is, it's a kind of sort of sequel to the original 1979 film and follows engineer Amanda Ripley as she investigates the disappearance of her mother aboard the space station Sevastopol. Of course, eventually you'll run into the xenomorph and the horror will begin. Like I've already said, you can't really fight back against this xenomorph, and this bloody thing is going to stalk you throughout the duration of the game. And this isn't a short game. From what I remember, it took me about 16 hours the very first time I played it, and the entire time, my butt cheeks were clenched so hard that I struggled to unclench them afterwards. I needed a doctor to take care of that. And it's not just a bloody xenomorph. These android things that you encounter in the game are terrifying as well. Not to mention that you'll also be trying to sneak around or take out human enemies. And believe me when I say the bloody xenomorph can turn up at any time, at any moment. And if you even make so much as a little noise, that thing is going to rip you apart. A very, very scary game indeed. Next up we have probably the two scariest games on this list, starting with Madison. What's scarier than walking around in near darkness while trying to outrun some scary entity? I'll tell you what's scarier than that. Being forced to carry around a bloody instant camera and use the flash of said camera to bloody light your way. Every single time in this game when I would be forced to press the bloody button on that camera, I would literally hold my breath, not knowing what the hell I was going to see in the flash. Be it a creature, be it something watching me from the shadows. If you don't like jump scares, then this is absolutely not going to be the game for you. The basic concept is this is a psychological horror game in which we must navigate a house and some other terrifying locations, taking pictures, solving puzzles, exploration. And the creature that's in this game is probably one of the most terrifying I have ever seen in a video game. If Alien Isolation is intense, then this is intense times 100. No, 1,000. I always get particularly freaked out in horror movies when characters have to run around in the darkness with nothing but a flashlight. But there's something about using one of those instant cameras that is just terrifying on a whole other level. And even worse if you want an even scarier experience with this game. There's actually a VR version of this title, but trust me, I do not recommend you play that. There's not a lot of video games in my life that I've not been able to get through. Mostly it's just the bad or mediocre ones. But Madison VR was a game that I just could not get through because of my poor heart. I'm not as young as I used to be. And playing this game in the normal version, the non-VR version was bloody terrifying enough. If you think Resident Evil 7 in VR is scary, think again. And that brings us to last and, oh boy, most certainly not least, Visage. Take everything I said about Outlast 2 being disturbing. Take everything I said about medicine and its jump scares and wandering around in near darkness. Times that by 100 and then throw in some inspiration from PT and you've got bloody Visage, which I still think is the most terrifying video game I might have ever played. The basic concept sees us controlling a character called Dwayne Anderson as he explores a strangely structured house, uncovering the backstories of the inhabitants that once lived there. This is once again a first-person horror game. And I don't want to spoil anything, but let's just say that our character Dwayne does something pretty damn disturbing at the beginning of this game. And it only gets worse from there. Light bulbs breaking, doors slamming or opening, electronic devices malfunctioning, ghosts and demons that pursue you in every single chapter of the bloody game, a sanity meter. Trust me, dear viewers, this game is nightmare-inducing. I have anxiety enough as it is. But playing this game, oh my god, it's a constant sense of anxiety. And it only gets worse should you let that bloody sanity meter ramp up. There is a lot of jump scares in this game, but it's mostly atmosphere. What you see out the corner of your eye, the music. That's what really makes this game so unsettling. So take my word, dear viewers, if you are of the faint of heart, you might not enjoy this game. But if you're looking for a damn good scare this Halloween, then Visage is probably the most terrifying game that you can try to get through. And best of all, the game is on sale on the PlayStation Store right now. Of course, that really depends when you watch this video if that's still true or not, but if you need an excuse to find something very spooky to play, now's the time to do it. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen, just a couple of my recommendations of the most terrifying video games I have ever played in the indie horror game scene. If you enjoyed this little video of mine, don't forget to give me a thumbs up. If you haven't enjoyed it, well then feel free to give me a thumbs down. But please remember the single most important thing I always tell you, dear viewer, and that is to always stay obsessed with gaming. Are you still here? Oh, you must have really enjoyed this video then. In that case, you had better subscribe to the channel and check out our other content. Otherwise, you're a booby pants, and no one wants to be a booby pants.